Hello, and congratulations for making it here, everybody. To the cheers.
Social.
Welcome to episode 4 of Hot D of season 2. We're House Off the Wagon. I'm Ben. This is Bobak here for Cinema Go Up on the tubes, which are I'm not gonna say it. I hate that. But lots to talk about. Real quick though, I want to say hi to a couple people that showed up early. Looks good. Good evening, chaps.
Evening.
Protein, dragons, fights, and more. Yes, it is, man. And then our buddy Ash D can't wait to chat. Yeah,
That's
I can't wait to hear what Ash D has to say about this episode. That's for dang sure. And we're gonna actually skip and go to spoilers pretty quick. So, what I want.
Oh, baby. Anyway, let's get into it.
Just a flesh wound.
Oh, the poor Crab King.
People.
I want to get into spoilers real fast. So I love this episode. I think it's the best episode of House of the Dragon. Like I said, I didn't see Game of Thrones, but I'm assuming there's episodes this cool and this epic. I don't know, but the technology's gotten better. The dragons, everything on this show looks like a freaking movie. And let me get into the headlines and then let Bobak go, and we'll get into spoilers. Allison gets on birth control. Aegon yells, "Fuck you," off camera. Christian Cole literally makes a head roll, and Rhaenys redeems herself and earns a Medal of Honor. That's what I think. That's your headlines. We'll see you next week. Just kidding. I forgot. I'm so bad at the applause. It's supposed to come much earlier. This is the best episode of TV I've watched in a long time of any show. Just jaw-dropping, edge of your seat, brilliant, everything this is cinema. This is literally like cinema, not just the best episode of a TV show, like literally going up against real things you would see. If you saw this episode in a movie theater, it would be insanely awesome. The writing, the editing, the acting, chef's kiss for me. And I'm going to let Bobak go before we get into spoilers. And then he goes.
And I'm out. But just kidding. Dude, not only best episode of this Game of Thrones series, but the original Game of Thrones. It's like there was only and I've got so many reasons why. I'll break it down later, but I would say this is probably the best episode of any Game of Thrones ever, which therefore is best episode of all shows ever.
Wow. And I know from years and years and years of you talking about Game of Thrones, and when I'd come and stay with you at your house, you'd be like, "Dude, can I show you one episode? Can I just show you an episode?" And I'd come over and just watch random episodes with you, when I didn't have any context for it, but I knew I could see why people liked it.
This episode even topped the Wagon Train, which is my previous. It's like now my number 2. That the one that I showed you, like that I've watched.
Yeah. Shocking events. A lot of characters doing some crazy shit. But yeah, you said it. I said it. Best episode. Let's see what Ashley has to say. Yes, definitely the best episode so far. It was so good, and I was on edge the entire time. Exactly. Hand clap. Yes. So right now,
and just to piggyback,
go ahead.
Best episode yet. Just like Ashley said, they're still building. This is a minor skirmish. They always top themselves, and now this new bar in the middle of the second of at least 3 seasons. They're going to top this, which is like,
There's 4 seasons total, and now we just finished the halfway point of the second season. Woo, man, they know how to use their budget. All right, so spoiler warning ahead. And I switched the sign up there. Lily, you like that sound?
Sign up. She's
Yeah,
dancing. There we go. Spoilers.
Spoiler sign is up. Everyone dies.
Yeah.
Everyone dies. They're all dead.
Everyone dies. They're all dead. Wow. Where do we even start, dude?
Well,
I think we can start at the beginning.
Yeah, I want to start from the beginning because I love the escalation of the two camps and like where the hell is Rhaenyra? And I love that that's starting to eat on them a lot. Like they're getting kind of disappointed and pissed off about this. And I love that because I was just reminded that the whole Black House table, they're not made up of like a bunch of royalty. They're all just like people that she has around in her council. And they're all just going nuts right now, yelling at each other, not knowing what to do. And then my boy, Corlys, walks in. Corlys is finally going to like do something instead of stay on the docks and try to get, you know, friends with who I guess is his son, but he doesn't know his son doesn't know it's his son. I don't care where that plot line goes unless it's really important. But it was cool seeing Corlys come back and everyone shut the fuck up. So yeah, we kind of start off there. Sort of, you see a lot of like battle aftermaths again. There's battles happening. And then Aegon. Let's start there. Let's start at the council table where Aemon just gives it to Aegon.
I really want to start there, but I would also because we're not going to spend much. Sorry, baby. We're live. We got a hot mic on, baby. We're not going to have any more time to talk about it because as soon as we get into the main stuff, the
second half. Yeah.
But Daemon, like starting to impress with like actually thinking more than one step ahead, you know, at the beginning, even though he's having these like, what are they, like hallucinations coming out of his vivid dreams? Like there's something about his bloodline, but also I guess Harrenhal. Sorry, we're going to have to get some wife assistance on the baby here. I guess Harrenhal was built on like a cut down grove of the weir trees, and the bed that Daemon's sleeping in is made of a weir tree. And then he's talking to an owl lady. And when she says, I'm an owl cursed to live as a human, I believe her. Because you've got these people that are able to get into the animals and they've got all this like mind control stuff. And she might be hundreds of years old. You know, she might be one of these people that can see the past, present, and future. And because like when she's calling Daemon out on stuff, like she knows exactly what's been going on in places that she hasn't physically been at. And yet she just tries to cover it by like, oh, here's the clues. Sorry, Lily, baby needs something. But
it's
you know,
all good, man.
Yeah. Baby,
take your time. I'll read some chats.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But so Daemon actually starting. I'm going to have you take over for a second. I'm going to get Lee in on this. I'll be right back.
You got it, homie. You got it. Just mute just mute.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ash D, emotional. I was rooting for everyone. You know what? Honestly, I realized Ash D by the end of this episode because I was always teetering more towards the Blacks, but I'm rooting for the Dragons, and maybe that's cheating. But I just love these dragons. I love how much personality they have. They're like big flying dogs that breathe fire and are super strong. Confirmation Corlys Bastard's son too. I hope that goes somewhere and is of some importance because they have sort of used up a lot of Corlys's scenes so far this season with just him with the estranged kid and at the docks or whatever. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Dream is crazy. I'll wait till Bobak comes back because I'm sure he's got a lot to say about that one. Let's see.
Oh, dude.
Magic is coming, says Protein. I mean, magic's part of the world, right? Like for the most part. So magic is coming. Okay. That's
magic
great.
is gathering. Magic the Gathering.
So I wanted to keep this one for you. Because I think you were just about to talk about this. Want to read it?
Yeah. You know, I mean, you've got Daemon's dreams, and like he's dreaming out about the people who he's sort of helped to form, you know, and he hasn't been good to all of them. He hasn't necessarily been bad to all of them. you can see a lot of his psychology. And it kind of reminds me a little bit about Jaime Lannister's story arc in the original Game of Thrones, where he's a total cock. And then, he gets humbled. Dude, he is a total cock. He gets humbled and humiliated, and he goes through the ringer, and he comes out as like a more
She's back.
She's back. As a more like relatable, humane person, And so she's on it. He's on it. Wifey's got it. But so this is almost like something like that for Daemon on a lighter scale, where like he's kind of having to deal with the way that he influences and he hurts other people. Like, his niece / wife is, basically his old antagonist. And now he's basically murdered a child of his own family. And, the way that his wife died in childbirth, he probably was the least culpable with her stuff, but like he got her pregnant, she died in childbirth, and like, of course, you're now seeing this connection between Daemon and Aemon, where they are the same personality. They're the same person in two different bodies, just two different generations.
Yeah,
and
but
literally physically, like, where he's chasing himself and he's realizing that all these people, all these problems that he has, it's just coming out of him, so he has to kind of mature a little bit. He's not going to get it, obviously, but at least his mind's wrestling with that. So they're really fleshing his character out. And he's starting to show some strategy. When he's talking to that kid, he's like, why don't you murder your grandfather so I can talk to whoever is actually in charge? Like, good move, but hey, that's how the real players think, and he's not really thinking 2 or 3 steps beyond that yet. But at least you can kind of see that. And also with Kristen Cole, like starting to be a strategist,
Well, no, he's best on the battlefield, like making the decisions on the battlefield, not at the table, the council table, But I think, I think Aemon is there's gonna be something in the seasons to come where he's going to want to face down Daemon as like the ultimate, I'm the guy now, I just feel that that's going to be a thing, because I don't even know if they've really spent any time together on the show, even when Aemon was a little kid. I can't remember.
No, because Daemon's always off on his own adventures,
Oh, when you were gone, I said I now know who I'm rooting for on this show. It's not the blacks, it's not the greens, it's the dragons. I love the dragons. So that's who I'm rooting for. Hey, Brandon from the Martini Shot. I sympathize with Aemon, who hasn't taken their dragon out for a drunken fly before. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. It's gonna be Aegon, obviously, that's the only way he could get on it, was by getting shit faced, because he's scared to get on. He's always been scared to get on Sunfire. So getting shit faced. He had to get super drunk to get on the dragon. And I feel bad for Sunfire, because Sunfire seemed really loyal and awesome, but
the dragons are pure. They're pure hearted, like they're a clear crystal. They're not hiding anything at all. They're channeling everything, going right through them. But so I love that we get to see this backstory, with Daemon playing out. And he's really starting to lose touch with reality. And this really takes me back to how well written and how well, cast and acted and everything this show is. Like, for example, the part where, Aegon II, he is like, his own mom is like, dude, you suck.
Yeah.
Like,
you're pretty worthless.
You're worthless. Yeah. Like you are
here and don't do anything.
Do nothing, literally do nothing. And he can't do nothing because he was told to do nothing. And he's like, I'm going to show them,
That was the dumbest thing she could have said.
Yeah.
To him.
And, honestly, she's so much more like her dad, and this is really kind of like showing that even though she's a woman and Rhaenyra is like a woman, they are just the embodiments of their dads. They have this statesman, like, there's a couple of lines I really want to get into, but one part was where, where Aegon, it's so, how many times have you seen, like in, like I just watched Rebel Moon, you know, sort of the opposite of Game of Thrones in writing and craftsmanship and stuff, to some Netflix 2-part movie.
I couldn't get through 10 minutes of the first one, so I turned it off.
Yeah, it was really poorly written, very poorly written. But like, you know, to contrast that, you don't just have Aegon, I mean, flying into a drunken rage and like storming out in a dramatic way. This is HBO. They pull that tension out. He's in that room alone, drinking, and he's under control. He's composed, and you expect him to smash the wine vessel and fly into a rage, and he doesn't. He places it very gently, and then you can see, because you see the little mouse turning and the wheel in his head. And his hand is just moving that vessel to the edge of the table and smash. And then the doors open and he's going off drunk flying, you know, the way that they build tension. Dude, you're going to need to add in a couple more dragon bite scenes now, because
now I will.
That. But, you know, the way that they string out the dramatic tension within a scene is exactly the same method of doing it, stretching out that tension across a whole series, across two series, you know, and they're just so master craftsmen. And what I realized is that what makes this show so engaging is that there's never the clear cut, here's the plan, we're going to execute, and it will or it won't work. It's, here's a plan, we're going to try to do it, but then some dumb fuck fucks something up because people are stupid and they can't quite coordinate shit. Well, and it's always like oops, you know, and everyone's like trying to get back to the plan and they just can't execute. And that's what gives it so much drama and such intensity and pulls you in.
There's so many different groups trying to spring a trap, like element of surprise. Everyone thinks they have the element of surprise in this. Obviously, Vagar was the big trap where I'm like, you know what? Christian Cole is kind of a badass because he didn't tell anybody. He didn't tell his troops. Because if he did that, if somebody would have said something. He just has Vagar like buried in the fucking woods.
With the king, you know, like within the council, they're holding secrets from each other, and so they're disjointed, and that's why they can't work together. You know, ultimately they'll fail from that lack of communication, I think.
But then you have probably the episode's MVP. I never thought I'd say this, but Rhaenys coming out with melees or something. Her dragon, her dragon was amazing, and I like fell in love with that dragon in this episode. And so much stuff happens that we'll get into with the dragon fight and stuff. But so she's there as the element of surprise. At least she thinks she is. So and you notice the details in this battle. I know I'm jumping ahead because I do want to talk about Daemon and his vision and stuff, but you notice that battle where Christian Cole doesn't really want them to storm and take over the castle. He wants them to think they are. So he keeps having them like not move forward too much until he knows. I don't think he knew what dragon was coming. He probably thought it was, I don't know who's.
Well, no, because he's already been scheming with no,
he has, but he's seen a couple of dragons up in the air while he's been setting up his plans. But my point is
on
like
the other side, which of the other dragons?
Christian Cole wasn't really trying to advance that fast. He wanted it to move slow so their dragon would show up and then Vagar would come out and fuck up shop, which is basically what happens, but not really. Like Vagar doesn't get off easy. But anyway, back to Daemon for a second. I just love these shots. The editor of the show is so great, or editors. Did you notice when he's having his dream and he's got blood on his hands and then he wakes up and for a couple of frames, he still has blood on his hands, even when he's woken up. But then in the next shot, he doesn't. It's like, oh, it's so brilliant. It stands out as very like this was intentional, not a continuity error. It's absolutely intentional
because his hallucinations are starting to bleed into his waking, his waking moments as well.
Yeah.
And remember how when he first sat down at the table at Harrenhal and they're like, you really got to try the meat. It's well aged. And he's like, I'll survive all these battles to be taken down by your poison.
The best way to take out a dragon rider is to poison him when he's not a
and yet he has to have eaten something since then. And I'll bet you that woman, the owl woman, I'm going to call her, like I'll bet you because she's got blood. She's taken like a heart of an animal and putting the blood in a vessel.
I looked her up. She's called a woods witch.
She is totally a woods witch. Yeah, she's
absolutely
a woods
witch. Yeah, yeah.
She's a wood witch.
I don't know
she's
what that is,
like, making this concoction in front of him and just hypnotizing him with her words and stuff because he's already under the influence somehow, whatever she's doing to him, And then she's all, here, drink this. And he's like, okay. He's already in her loop, like he's got all hallucinations, and it's tapping into his psyche, but it's when he's awake. And so that scene that you mentioned where he wakes up, the blood's still on his hand.
Blood, yeah.
And then not. And just as long as we're at this moment, I love the symbolism. I love all the symbolism that they put into the scenes where they'll take like a literal phrase and then they'll make it into a scene where like Damon cannot let sleeping dogs lie in a figurative sense.
That he's all tucked away somewhere else while all this battle's going on with dragons and he's like nowhere to be found, Yeah,
because he's going through his own, like psychological, story arc. But once he decides he's going to do something and he walks out of that hall, what you see this pile of dogs that look like a rug in front of the fire, and they're all sleeping dogs. And one of them lifts its head as he walks out. And it's just so like right there. He can't.
I didn't even catch that. I didn't catch the sleeping dogs lie reference. I mean, I saw the scene, but wow.
Right. Yeah. But, like there's so much symbolism that's just packed in. So he doesn't, you don't have to have them deliver the storyline and plot and stuff, or just anything through dialogue because the scenes are so well crafted. The thing before about the hand gently moving the wine glass, vessel to the edge, and also the sleeping dogs, like he wakes them. And there was a few other scenes there where they did a literary reference, but they put it as a scene, and I was like, oh, their writing is so good.
Yeah, I know. I like one of the things I noticed at the end of the episode is there's a scene where Alicent is holding a dragon figure earlier on in the episode. And when the door gets knocked on, she drops it and you see a wing come off. And it's such obviously symbolism because a dragon loses its head. A couple
foreshadowing.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. Foreshadowing.
And isn't that the dragon that she gave to Viserys?
It is. Yeah. It is. Yeah. And
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if you remember before when Aegon II, that's his name, right? The new king, the Aegon the pussy.
Aegon the rapist.
Yeah, Aegon the rapist. Yeah.
Aegon the drunk.
Yeah, right.
But pussy's the best. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but he took a Valyrian steel sword to the entire model set, foreshadowing that he's going to be destroying cities and just destroying the peace. And what was the only thing left was the dragon, and Alicent accidentally breaks it, she breaks it.
Out of all that shit that's broken, she's holding that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he have a Valyrian steel armor on when he went into battle? He did,
Is
right?
that why he did before when he suited up to go on the field? And
I think he was wearing it. So I'm wondering, we're in mass spoilers, people. I'm wondering if he's actually dead or not.
No, he's alive because you could hear him moaning. Yeah,
well,
remember,
I only heard the dragon, which the dragon is somewhat alive too. I mean, I know I saw, you see Aemond with the sword going like, I'm going to finish this off. And then Cole's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yep.
So and
that scene is so telling because number one, the king knows that his brother tried to kill him because
he totally does now.
Yeah. But like they did a whole reaction shot where he sees, what's the big dragon called again? The big one?
Vagar
the Indomitable is what I'm going to call it. Vagar the Indomitable coming in with his badass brother. And he's like, yay, the cavalry's here. And then it's like Dracarys. And he's like, no. So at that moment, he knows his brother's trying to kill him. And for the record, this is the second time that his brother, Aemond has been in a position to take his brother off the chessboard because at first his brother was like,
let's go back to where that's. Go ahead. Sorry.
because earlier in the first season, when his brother's like, just let me take a fake name and go across the sea, and you'll never know from me again. King. And he's about to do it, but who steps in? Sir Kristen Cole, the conflicted. Oh yeah, Cole comes in. Oh, that would be dishonorable, and I care about my honor a little too much, And then a second time where like just
that was when Cole just like was pissed at Rhaenyra, and he was like, "We'll do anything to
the whore king, the whore queen." He calls her, yeah. But Aemond, he's going to go and finish off his brother. He's got his broadsword out, and then he starts to sheath it. Then Cole sees him and is like, "Yo, what are you doing?" And it's like, no, he's not sheathing his sword because he doesn't want to finish off his brother and become king. He sheaths his sword because he picks up the royal dagger, the one.
I saw that.
And he's going to finish off his brother with exactly, and he's going to kill his brother with that dagger. And so he's not putting his sword away out of like, oh, I'm going to help him. He's like, oh, this isn't even.
Well, I know he's not going to help him. I just thought he was caught by Cole, so he's like, "Fuck, I can't do this." He starts to shoot it before he knows Cole is there, and because he's in the action of sheathing, and Cole comes up behind him and is like, "Bro, like, what are you doing? We have to save the king." And what does he do? He picks up that dagger, and that's why he was sheathing his sword, because he was going to kill his brother with the dagger, and his brother knows it now. So what kind of dynamic is that? As soon as his brother can talk again, it's going to be like something's going to go on in that house. He's going to have to get to him before that, obviously, some way, somehow, But I want to go back real quick from that moment. When we go back to the beginning of the episode, the biggest standout moment, and I texted you last night, I'm like, man, Aemon don't give a fuck, is when he starts speaking Valyrian to his brother and Aemon basically down talking him like crazy. And just, that's where I was like, okay, from the last episode where he made fun of him with his dingling hanging out and the older lady, like he's done with this shit.
Oh yeah.
Completely done. Yeah. And he didn't, now going back to the dragon fight, he didn't know, his whole thing was springing the trap with Vhagar to kill Rhaenys or whatever, whoever came. He didn't know that Aegon was going to be there. So that was just a new opportunity for him to get to something. I want to hit a couple of these. Could you read this one for us real quick? I want to go through a couple of chats that don't get too old before we move on.
So Ash D is replying to Pro Martini, right?
Martini shot.
Martini shot. That's right. Ash D is replying to Martini shot, talking about, I think it was talking about the Aemon's not really that bad of a guy, just conflicted and stuff. But say Martini, I felt for Aegon. He's just a dumb kid who's over his head, and his connection with Sunfire was so cute. You could see the glimpse of humanity in him. At the end of the day, these guys are with their pets. And it's not just their pets. It's their familiar.
Wouldn't call Aegon a dumb kid. He did rape somebody. But if you take that away, he's a dumb kid. Yeah.
Many people.
Aegon's character development has really surprised me, showing vulnerability and a ruthlessness that comes from insecurity and childishness rather than straight up evil. Of course. And you knew that was going to be the case as soon as that second half of season 1 started and you start to see him picking on his brother and being a little dipshit, that he was going to be the pussy. For sure. Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to read a couple of these so that they don't get outdated.
Yeah. Yes, same. I used to think Aegon was just a waste, and I don't agree with everything he does, but you see the small child in him crying out for his mother's love and how he just wants to prove himself as king. Absolutely. When she's like, I was hoping that you could be half the man your father was, and now I know I was wrong. Like, dude, talk about sniffing your balls.
Pretty badass though. Viserys was a great guy. It's gonna be, you can't live up to that.
And it's true, but like that's not what you say to your kid when they're grieving. Like contrast that with.
Well, of course not. She's if you haven't noticed, she's a terrible mother, and she has.
She is. And yeah, right. Rebel Moon shade. I know, right? Rebel Moon was just a vehicle for big explosions, and I love the graphics and all the explosions and fights. But come on. But yeah, dude, Broken Dragons, tell me about it. Such foreshadowing. But to contrast the parenting style of the two queens, Alicent, she's done trying to pretend like she gives a fuck about this douchebag. Like, do you know how many of his rape victims she's had to, at best, give Plan B to?
The tea to? Oh, which we haven't brought up yet. She gave herself the tea in one of the opening scenes.
Gave herself the tea. Because she doesn't want a bastard child from Kriston the dumb.
He's supposedly been, because now this episode finally moves a little bit past like a 1 week period of time. They reference that it took Rhaenyra a long time to get back to Dragonstone, and Christian Cole's been like marching on stuff. So it's supposed to be at least a month or so since
But
the
she's
last
been
episode.
banging him since her husband died like 3 weeks
Sure,
earlier.
but I'm wondering if like she's banging someone else too. I don't know.
Well, it would either be, it could technically be the dead king's son, and it's just taken her like 2 months before she, she's late twice or whatever, or
Could
it's
be.
probably most likely Cole's.
Yeah,
And
Just a flesh wound.
but just to ask a question, remember the bastard brother in the bar like last episode who's like, don't tell anyone I'm the king's, like, the king's uncle, because they'll
he's
totally
the guy
kill
that
me.
showed up and got introduced to
The guys at the
Aemond,
bar.
yeah, and she's like, this is my brother. I was like,
Remember who served them though? Remember that one waitress that came over and gave him more ale?
She's the one that got raped by Aegon,
And
right?
so Allison didn't kill her. Because remember,
No.
Allison just like
We
drank
thought
the
she was going
tea.
to kill her, but she just gave her the birth control.
Exactly. And so it's like, okay, Allison hasn't been murdering all the girls that her son's been raping. So that shows that she does have compassion for them. And she's like, dude, I know my son is a serial rapist. As a woman, she knows what that means to her. And she's like, done with this guy, like, she's like, do you know how much we sacrificed to put you on that throne? Like, you should have.
Aegon, we're running out of tea.
We're running out. We have no more tea in the realm, dude.
I love it that in that scene she asks, I can't remember what his title is, the one that gives her the tea.
The maester?
Yeah, the maester.
Yeah.
And she's like, she asks him a way out of his depth question. And it just shows her like her vulnerability, her confusion, her insecurity. And she's like, do you really think that like, the series said that it should go to Aegon? And he's like, ma'am, I don't know. I can't answer that fucking question. I'm not getting wrapped up in this shit.
Oh yeah, dude. He didn't get to his job by telling people the truth, dude. He's like, I value my, what he did is he opened his mouth and he said, I value my life. Like,
yes.
That's pretty much what he said. I was like, that's how you stay alive at the fucking.
Like, he should have said like, have you seen your son? He's a fucking dipshit. Of course he didn't give it to him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh my God. Yeah, but yeah, that maester, I can't read his full name. It's Maester, starts with O-R. Grand Maester Orr. We'll just call him Orr for short. Yeah, Sunfire was wrapped around Aegon, protecting him. However,
I love the details of the interaction between the rider and the dragon, not just when they're riding, but when they're not riding. Well, we're like a half an hour. Let's get into the fucking dragon fight. Dude.
Okay, I'm not going to stop talking, so you go first.
I'm going to let some of this play with a quick little stop here and there, unless it wants to freeze up on its own, which it looks like it does. So I'll just bring it back in. It's the best episode for a reason. And yes, it's because of the dragons and that whole conflict, but it's not me saying like, oh, well, we finally got some action. No, it wasn't that at all. It was just like the most weighty, crazy. I mean, look at these shots. Look at like the beautiful photography and just I love how Rhaenys is so like this right here is her going right at Aegon, and Aegon, I'll give it to him. I'll give him this. He gave it the old college try, but he just doesn't have the experience or the tactics. So I love how she just dives. Shit, where'd it go? I love how she just, what the hell's going on? Sorry. She dives right underneath the flame.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, where the hell did she go? And then there you go. Then go for the belly. I hear that's a thing in Game of Thrones. If you can get to that vulnerable point, you always try to gut them. If a dragon's fighting another dragon, they try to gut them.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, that totally makes sense. So many reasons why this is the best episode.
And I didn't know that the blood is hot too. I didn't know that.
I didn't realize that.
That's great. Yeah. They're all
boiling blood. Yeah, man. Okay. this is so good for so many reasons. And number one, and part of it is always because these episodes are like an hour long. They never have like an hour long, very rarely have like an hour long, just pure battle. There's always at least a good 20 minutes of character development and story development. And then they'll get into the battle and you're so invested, just within an episode, even if you haven't seen any other episodes, they invest you in this particular episode. And so you've already got such great writing. These characters, like the ones on the screen right now, you've never seen this old man, but you've heard of him, in passing, and you understand his place that he's in. And, I love it when like his top military guy or whatever comes to him and is like, there's like 1,500 of them there, the enemy. And you see most of these archers have longbows. Only one of them has a freaking crossbow. And so those are the details I love about this. It's not just standard uniform. It's more of a real world. And, these guys are behind. Only one crossbow amongst all these longbowmen, and they're outnumbered. And they know they're fucked.
And then you add a dragon on top of that. And now they have to start contributing to trying to shoot at a dragon, because it doesn't matter if they win the ground battle. If the dragon's alive, they're all going to die anyway, because when Rainey shows up, she fries like right off the bat at least a third of Cole's men, like at least a third.
And he knew Cole finally showing some strategy. And I don't understand why anyone didn't see right through his little plot. Like at the other table, they're like, oh, well, why are they attacking this one undefended castle? And someone's like, because the owner's sitting here at the table. Well, therefore, they're trying to draw us out for a fight. They must be a trap. Like, how come they can't see through this? And then the most battle-hardened one there, Rhaenys, the queen, whoever it was like, I'll go into the trap, and I was just like, hold on a second.
And they don't say it, but I wonder, because the reason I hate her and I hate episode 9 of season 1 is because of what she does when she springs herself free. She kills a ton and just hundreds and hundreds of like common folk. And then she's staring down like the entire Green family and does nothing and flies away. They don't say that she kind of could have ended everything and didn't. And she certainly doesn't apologize. But this episode is basically her vindicating that.
That's true. She did get called out on that one time. I don't remember by who.
She did, but she didn't like apologize.
No, she didn't apologize, but you're right, and they have been doing some character development with her in the last couple episodes where she's such a cold, strong, reserved, cynical person, yet dignified. And just seeing some of those touching moments between her and Corlys, like that's the most she'll open up. Like there was like when she and Corlys were at the shipyards in the previous episode, and she's like there with him. And it's the closest they came to actually being an affectionate couple, except for like maybe one or two moments.
Well, they've had some like bedtime, wake up, pillow talks.
They have, here and there, a few of those little things, but they're very, very few and far between. So they threw in a couple of those, where you see like that she does have a heart. She is a caring person, and she is in love, and she's almost vulnerable when she sees Corlys's, we're assuming, bastard son. She's like, wow, you must have had a beautiful mother, like this, like almost like the son I never had. Like, this guy saved your life. You got to be lifting him up. Like,
what happened to your hair?
Yeah, right. He probably had to shave that off, so everyone would know that he's a Valyrian bastard.
Sure.
but
if she sees everything through, I mean, I did see something, and tell me if you agree with this. I saw this comment that said, not on our show, but on another one that said, this writing was just as bad as Game of Thrones season 8, because when she does land a couple of good licks on Vhagar and it's down on the ground, why didn't she just fly back down and burn him alive? I thought it's because she couldn't find him. Like
she couldn't find Vhagar.
She was like, okay, I should fly away and get away because I'm not going to win. But she doesn't. She turns back. She could have got away. She's smaller and faster. She should have got away. This was her. She's like, this is our only chance to beat this big ass dragon. If I leave, it's just going to happen another day, So
yeah, over and over again, because they've just.
You notice how she strapped herself in that clip? Did you notice that?
She
strapped her legs in, which tells me that if her dragon's going down, she's going down with the dragon. Like they're now like one.
I think someone would have invented a parachute by now. They've had dragons for hundreds of years. No one was I'm going to take a bedcloth.
It always seems like the dragon's wingspan is almost like something that slows them down if they do fall, unless it's just dead. It goes
unless it just is dead and just falls straight out of the sky like hers did. And she meets it. She doesn't snigger and cry. She just kind of leans back into it, and that dragon comes down on top of her, and it's done. But like she fucking owned it. Like she knew what she was going into. Oh my God, so intense, so emotional, so many unspoken words, awesome writing. And
Melee's, that's the dragon. God, I love what she says. Oh man, even Aegon has this little moment with his dragon, where his dragon's, it's like a dog. It's like putting its nose up to you, and it's like, wow, like even him who never gets on his dragon, he still does it. But here's that reveal of the Vagar reveal, and he just comes out of the fucking wood.
I'm sorry. Is that a person on his back or a pimple?
I know. Just look at how amazing these shots are, dude. Like it's just ridiculous.
So
even the camera work,
amazing camera work. Sir Kristen Cole finally grows a brain. And he's like, oh, we're going to do some stratagems. And I've actually been planning this behind everyone's back, right?
Which he was.
And he was, right? And so he's finally starting to show some brains. But I love the moment when he's like straight up, all these dudes I brought with me that I've been getting to the bend the knee to me are all cannon fodder. I'm about to let them all go and die. And I don't care, right? Because
there's a line where it says Christian Cole's, him and his forces have been getting this, recruiting people here and there. Well, we didn't really mention the one scene where he's like, hey, join us or I'm going to cut your fucking head off. And then he shows that.
Like I just did right now to some dude's dad on the opposite council.
But apparently there's some people that he considers cannon fodder in other houses where he considers them a little bit more important. But like this battle, it was just like expendable, fucking worthless.
And so he goes from being this Machiavellian guy one moment when he's like, okay, everyone, let's all advance on the castle. And it's, And then, okay, give the signal. Right? And then when he sees Rhaenys coming in and she roasts these people and starts fucking shit up, and like he himself and the guys that like the Queen Alicent's brother, who's actually kind of he's a very jovial, badass knight. I'm trying to look up his actual screen name, but Alicent.
Yeah, he had something that he said where he's like, I handed somebody his ass one time.
Sir Gawain Hightower, right?
Okay.
So remember how Kristen Cole was running after Sir Gawain in a previous episode, and it's like, dude, you got to get back to the host. You can't be out here in the meadow. Like he's trying to guard the Queen's, brother, and yet when he sees that himself and the people that he's trying to protect amongst all the cannon fodder are also cannon fodder. And they're about to all become collateral damage of these like aerial fights, and shit gets real for him. And like you see the moment, the look on his face, like it almost reminded me of when in the first season when friggin' Rhaenyra tore his heart out when he's like, we can run away and be like anonymous people, lovers in another continent, live our lives.
Sorry,
she's like, no, I'd rather be queen, and you can see his heart break now. It's like almost like that scene where he looks up and he realizes, I'm probably just going to die as collateral damage here. Oh, fuck. And he gets
and that was his get out of jail free card to do horrible, horrible shit for the rest of the series. Yeah,
dude, totally. But this was so amazing because like we have seen dragon fights at the very end of the Game of Thrones, and it wasn't this good. It was more just sort of they're flying around sort of blasting, because the Song of Ice and Fire boils down to a zombie dragon fighting its own brother.
So that's what somebody said, from Game of Thrones. I heard that was the most comparable battle to this one.
Exactly, because the Song of Ice and Fire ends up as a zombie dragon breathing ice flames versus a regular dragon breathing fire flames, and it is sick, but it's nothing like this because the fire is almost incidental. They're clawing at each other like raptors, like eagles or something, you know? They're grappling in the air. They're trying to gut each other like a cat or something, you know, would do, like a lion pouncing on a gazelle type thing.
Yeah, it seems like a lion and a gazelle, like just ripping open the guts.
Going for the jugular, very animalistic behaviors. And I was just wondering why Vagar didn't, as he's got Sunfire or whoever in his...
Why didn't he bite the head off?
When he was choking and biting the head, why didn't he breathe fire too? That seems like it would just be
instinct. I don't know. Maybe it's just like the heat of the moment. But yeah, I know he bites. I know he does bite the head off. Or it was dangling, but in the promo for the next episode, you see them bring in.
I think they chopped it off. I think they
maybe
cut it off.
But you see them bringing the head in.
And is this how they're establishing? Because in Game of Thrones, when they go down to the crypts, they've got that large dragon skull that we have seen here, followed by a series of other dragon skulls.
It might be.
And is this now the second in the procession? You know,
it would make sense to slowly bring that in. That's the genius of the writing here.
Yeah.
Let's check out. Let's check out the moment that that Aemon thinks he's got a free shot right here. He sees those two, and he's like, "Dude, if I take them both out, it's no problem because I was just going for one."
Yeah, friendly fire. My bad.
Yeah,
and he could say whatever story he wanted if
of course. And look at him. He's plotting the whole thing.
Yeah, Dracarys, look at no. Oh,
I love it. I didn't realize that the first time I saw it. Aegon looks directly at his brother in this weird, horrified face, and then covers his. He's got that steel on, so good move by him. But
still, dude, it's metal. The fire is just going to make the metal hotter, and the impact, the force is going to transfer. They don't have much cushion in there.
No, for sure. I mean, I'm guessing that steel is more for
arrows and swords.
Yeah, not to, but yeah.
So he should be dead. It's just that I think that his dragon was trying to establish some. I think the dragon was able to slow down the fall to like lessen the shock.
They show as his wingspan kind of helping them slow down, like you said earlier, like a not a parachute, but you know how those people wear those weird suits and they glide.
Yeah, like a wingsuit,
something like that. But
so I think that there was lessened impact. Oh, she's done. No,
but her dragon. No, I know that, but her dragon landed right on top of the castle, right, and like blew a hole right through it.
The breach, and then Sir Gawain Hightower, like a fucking boss, rally on me, man, into the breach, and that's when Kristen's like, "Oh, can I get my win back? Let's save the king." You know?
They basically used that dragon fall. I mean, whether it was tactical or it was an accident, they used that dragon fall as like a missile, like a freaking missile to go right in there.
Exactly, because they blow up, dude. You see the fire when they hit the ground?
It like blows up.
And so they breach the wall. You've got this like the remnants, like 20 dudes that didn't die are like going to go in the castle. It wasn't 20 dudes, but you know. But I think that was Sir Gawain Hightower, just like because he's actually kind of a badass on as a fighter, and we're kind of seeing that a little bit. Yeah, sure. Honorable Targaryen death to go with your dragon because the Targaryens want to be burned by their own dragon. That's like, whether it's to kill them or to burn their body.
I mean, granted, where was she going to go anyway when her dragon died? But I do love the scene where it's showing her kind of fall with her dragon and just. Yeah, Ashley, it was very honorable. I agree with your other one. In Rhaenys' defense, she was trying to. I get it. Like some people are a little too harsh on her. The thing I don't like is her busting out and killing a bunch of innocent people for showmanship. You know, but I get why she didn't
through whatever tunnel they used to get the dragon in there. You know,
that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Let's see when Vagar popped up like a shark. Yeah. It was that's what he does. He keeps popping up. You know, that's his whole thing. I'll be back in 1 second. Hold the fort. Read this for me. I'll be back.
Absolutely. So, okay. Some of the things that make this the best episode are you actually get to see the tactics of the dragon fight with the clawing and everything. And this is the first time when you actually have, I think, like 3 dragons sort of in a melee. And it's on top of a pitched siege style battle where you've got everyone in their armor and they're going up against a castle. And, before the dragons show up, I love that you can see the tactics of these guys in armor with a battering ram, and they're coming out from the cover of the forest across that open no man's land that's always, around a castle. And they're going to bring that battering ram in. And what can these longbowmen on the ramparts do other than just fire volley after volley of arrows? And I love it because you see tactically every little step of action from, okay, first line fire, next group fire, next group fire. They got that rotation of, fire, fall back, reload, fire, fall back, reload as the archers. And then it follows the arrows in the air from the archer's perspective, and you see it land, and the whole front row of attackers just fall. And then a couple more come out from the tree line to go resupport that the battering ram, and everyone's got their shields with the arrow sticking out of it. And you can see the tactics of war right there, of just doing that siege warfare in broad daylight, which not even siege at this point, just like attacking the walls. And so I love that you get that set piece there. And I don't know, I'm sure they did some, green screen CGI stuff for the close-ups, but they have people on location in armor going through all of this stuff. And
they totally do. That's where the budget comes from.
Absolutely. And I love seeing that stuff in movies in shows or movies where they just really take you there and they show you in a very realistic way. Because everyone thinks like, oh, if I was in a battlefield, I would be the hero where I get to like kill a person with every slash of my sword and everything will miss me and I'm going to win. No, I'm sorry, dude. You're going to be taken out by the first volley of arrows from the defenders. That's why they have reserves. Okay, my friend, and so you see all of that playing out. And then dragon, first person to see the dragon just says dragon. It doesn't matter whose side the dragon is on. You better get the fuck away from everyone else because we're going after large groups of people first.
Well, you notice like all the collateral damage of when Vhagar gets stunned pretty bad and hurt. He's just on the ground stomping on people. It doesn't matter who it is. They don't know who it is.
That's one of my favorite scenes where you see, because one of the great things about Game of Thrones battles is how they'll, and other stuff too, but Game of Thrones is so good at it. They'll focus in on 1 or 2 characters. In the past, it's usually been one of the protagonists. And you just get their perspective, cameras on them, and they're like, slash at this dude, dodge that thing, over here, and it just kind of following them as they're running helter-skelter through this. Mm-hmm. And you get that effect with a couple of random foot soldiers who are just running through the group, and things aren't hitting them. And then you can see the dragon, Vhagar, landing and stepping between people. And I'm like, oh my God, someone's going to get squished. And those 2 dudes get squished.
Well,
just as Vhagar's just kind of, walk through the area.
When those guys that you're talking about got squished, it was just like bloody, like the. I'm trying to find that while you're talking about it. I don't know.
Dude, insects. It's just insects under your feet. You don't even notice them. You don't feel bad about them. It's just like, sorry, you were where I was stepping. Oh, do I have goo between my toes?
Here's her moment to turn around.
Yeah, and she thinks about it, and she's a warrior. She's a fucking stoic warrior, and she's like, "It's now."
Oh no, brother, no.
Why would you ever kill me and try to become king?
Yeah, I don't understand why you're doing this.
Right? The dude can't even speak High Valyrian well. It seems like all of the other ministers and maesters or whoever at the
well, if you notice, he's not speaking it back to Aemond. He's just listening to it at around the table.
Yeah, and it seems like all the counselors speak or at least understand High Valyrian better than the king. Because when
there she goes, goes. Like, I'm in it to win it with you, baby.
Yeah, buddy. Because when you've got Aemond, calling out Aegon II, everyone looks because they understand what he's saying, and they're like, "Oh shit, how's he gonna react? Just be cool, So it seems like all the counselors speak High Valyrian better than the fucking king. And it's just like, dude, the dude is such a dumbass. He can't even screw up right.
No, he's a complete moron. Yeah,
He's a moron.
Like,
Yeah,
didn't you compare him sort of to the Joffrey guy a little bit?
yeah.
Here's where Vagar is just gonna fucking.
Oh, dude.
I love that she comes back. He even looks impressed. Amon's like, you want some of this?
Like, oh, exactly, dude. Oh,
you want some of this shit?
Yeah, and so you've got that whole set piece, like battling, attacking the castle walls, all that. And then you got the moment where the first person to see a dragon just goes, dragon, and everyone's like, scatter. Like, it doesn't matter what team I'm on. It doesn't matter what my job is. Scatter. Just fucking run, because shit's coming down. And then you get into the whole battle between the dragons, and it's not just a fight between the dragons. It's this family complex, it's like brother versus aunt, great aunt,
absolutely. Dude, and it's been brewing so long
for at least since last season, for episodes, this has been brewing. And for the characters, it's been 10 years in the, 20 years almost in the making since they were little kids bullying each other, and I love seeing the fruition.
Is this true from HD? They sent into army. So some of those dickhead King's Guard frat boys were in there, or they don't go to the battle.
No. They're like the bodyguard of the king. They're just back in the castle.
I might have misunderstood. Yeah.
No, but there were other King's Guard there. But the King's Guard, they were held in reserve. Yeah, straight up dinosaur. Yeah, these are flying dinosaurs basically.
Well, especially Vagar for sure. Yeah,
they are absolutely. But yeah, so the King's Guard that were on the field because they're there to protect Gawain Hightower because he's the highest ranking royal that's there. Brother of the Queen Regent or the Queen Mother or whatever they call her. But then you get into the aftermath and talk about dramatic storytelling. You could have ended the episode when Kristen Cole is like knocked out and the screen goes black.
There's a couple of times in this episode when the screen went black where I thought it was over. I think Ashley mentioned that too. Yeah.
Such good writing and editing. They make you think it's over because that was the high point. That was the high point of the episode. That because they always end with the big reveal or whatever. With that iconic scene, that iconic moment. And then, like a good rock band, they get the encore. They're like, oh, you thought that was it? Hold on. We've got another even bigger ending scene. And this is just the pre-end. It was like the pre-end or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did that.
Oh, good, dude. So good. Kristen Cole just coming back to life, like waking up, getting the wind back in his lungs. He's just a dude.
Just look at these shots.
Oh, dude, that right there, that shot just on horseback galloping in, must save the king. Boom, gets knocked the fuck out.
Like two dragons tangled up. One rider, eons more experienced than the other because Amon's got the biggest dragon, and he killed Jace or whatever from season 1 at the end. That kid didn't know what the hell he was doing. Like she's using tactics by going underneath them, and it's so good. Like Vagar can be defeated if like the right couple of dragons are on him at once,
Well, that's why Damon had the right idea originally when he was like, listen, with me and you together, we can take out Vagar. When he said to Rhaenys, the queen who never was, previously, hi, beautiful baby, come here, big girl. But then when Kristen Cole, he wakes up and he's a mission oriented guy. He's just like, we have to save the king. And he goes to get that one, say hi, baby. He goes to get that one soldier up and he puts his hand on that the bannerman's, shoulder. And there's just a skeleton with ash inside of that suit of armor. And it just falls down and you just see the ash breeze away. And you just see like the bit of the skeleton left. That is one of the best shots, because we've seen some of those things like that before, like in the wagon train episode, which is like now my second favorite episode, where like Jamie in that wagon train episode, Jamie Lannister, he calls out to a group of his men, look out, get down, and the dragon comes through, roasts them all, and then a gust of wind goes through, and they're just ash, and they just blow away.
It's way different on that show, right? Because a dragon it's like there's not as many. So when you have one, it's like, holy shit, right?
Yeah, they're all the same side. It's, so until one of them gets turned to become a zombie. But anyway, and so this scene right here, it takes that part where you've got the burnt up, soldier, and they get blown away, but the armor falls apart. There's still a bit of a skeleton left. I mean, they've gone so much further with the craftsmanship of showing what they're trying to show. And it's like before it was maybe 2 dragons against each other, maybe 3. This time they're grappling in air as there's a set piece battle, and you see the aftermath. Earth, Oh my God!
This show, after all, is called House of the Dragon, where Game of Thrones is called Game of Thrones.
And again, this is just a skirmish as a diversionary tactic at the beginning of what isn't even a war yet. There have been no pitched battles yet, like this was just some strategizing here.
This is just a strategy to have Vagar take out somebody's dragon, pretty much.
And it could have been Rhaenyra, dude. It could have been her, because she was like,
I think that's what they were hoping for, because none of them knew she was in King's Landing. I don't think Alicent told anyone. So.
No, because and just to get back to non-dragon stuff, I love when the Maester asks, where she asks the Maester. Oh no, I'm sorry. When she's speaking with her son, and or no, was it the Maester or her son? Where someone asked Alicent, like, "Are you having second thoughts?" It was the cripple. It was the Master of Whispers. Laris Strong, Laris Clubfoot. And
Clubfoot.
Yeah. And he's like, "Hi, I came to jerk off to your feet, Alicent, but I didn't see you were here earlier. It looks like you've been drinking the Plan B tea." And he immediately knows what's going
Morning
on.
after tea.
Exactly. So he knows exactly what's going on, because he is a master spy. Like, that dude is like king of assassins and spies, right? And he asks her. He straight up asks her, "Was Viserys love of the histories what convinced him to change his mind about the secession on his deathbed, Alicent?" Because he knows that there was and she's, he's like, dude, because he never once wavered from Rhaenyra being his, successor. And so fucking strong, Clubfoot straight up asked Alicent, and she thinks about it, and she was like, "It doesn't matter. Everyone's going to fight over the throne. One side's going to take it, and whatever his intention was, died."
Yeah, it would. Yeah. Even if Rhaenyra was crowned, there would just be people going after her for it anyway. Like season 1 was so much about like everyone just protecting themselves, and women specifically getting the throne, and just being like, well, they're just going to kill me if I get it. Someone's just going to kill me in my sleep if I have it, so
pretty much
you got to show like this season showing like, well, who can be more dominant and better strategist, and really so far neither one of them are doing any, like Alicent or Rhaenyra don't really have anything to do with any of this strategy going on right now,
but there are better players, better players out there. However, Alicent is now becoming her dad and saying that,
which what, where the hell is Otto? It's 2 episodes with no Otto.
Sure he'll come back. Yeah, he'll be back.
He better come back. He's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, he hasn't had a death scene yet, and he's gonna get some spectacular death scene.
Oh, I hope he stays in for a while. We need him.
I'm sure he will. Yeah, he's not a battlefield guy. He's a strategist, so some crazy shit will happen later on to him. But basically, like, Alicent is now becoming her dad, where she's like, actually, in her heart of hearts, I think she now gets that because when Rhaenyra told her, no, was he talking about the Song of Fire? And I was talking about Aegon's dream. He wasn't talking about your son. He's talking about
your son. But what you're saying right now, it's funny that I clicked on this comment from Ash D, because I think it's against what you're saying a little bit, which is great. We should have conversation and debate and stuff.
Oh yeah,
I think after the last episode, Alicent's just checked out at this point and just let the chips fall where they may. I don't know. You seem to have a different perspective right now. I still don't know what Alicent's doing.
Well, she's having a moment where she's realizing that maybe she misunderstood, because
Well, yeah,
when
she's asking random people around the cal. Hey, do you think that my dad really should? Hey, is there any rat catchers left? I want to ask him what they thought about my dad successing Aegon.
Exactly. But what does she do? She becomes her dad, the strategist, and is like, intention is irrelevant. All that matters is our survival. And, like for the house, and, this is what needs to be done, and this is what's going to happen. She becomes a rational, real politician type of person. Obviously not. But she's getting that mind frame. And so far, all we have seen from Rhaenyra is her dad, Viserys, the peacemaker, trying to keep, she wants to know. And what does she say? She was gone from her council. She was on her secret mission to have a heart-to-heart with, with a dagger, with her childhood bestie, to be like, no, listen, you were mistaken. He was talking about Aegon the Conqueror's dream of Song of Fire and Ice. He was not telling you about your son, Aegon II.
But he can barely talk. Like, I don't blame her for misunderstanding that. Also, with the element of her wanting to hear what she wants to hear.
Yeah,
but yeah,
she assumed a lot there. But now that she knows, she's like, no. And remember, there was when Rhaenyra, she comes back to her council, and she's like, I inherited 80 years of peace, and I'm not going to follow my father and father's track record of keeping the peace.
Like, where the hell have you been? Yeah.
She's like, I'm trying to stop you guys from being douchebags.
I do really like that line. It says so much about what I've been pissed off about with Rhaenyra's indecisiveness. Is like, I inherited 80 years of peace, like, and then this is happening right at those moments, like right when Viserys dies, everything fucking happens. So of course she's going to be indecisive. She's not. She's much more like, I need to think about this, but this kind of here, let's see. You can tell I sense regretting much of her life, going maybe as far back as befriending the king. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe she probably regrets having the old dude, on top of her at night and stuff. But like, I don't know. I don't know about that. I guess we'll find out.
Because remember, she named him when she was saying her prayers. When she was at the sparrows or whatever the fuck they call them, at the religious building in the Vatican, I'm gonna say, and she's
like the big fucking candle, whatever.
Yeah. She names her dead mother, she names her dead husband, and she names the little boy that was just killed by Vagar. Laris was his name, I think. The younger. Was Jace. Yeah. She names those three people. So she loved her husband, and she just couldn't, she loved him so much that she let him fuck her, because that was gross. Like, that was really gross, and so she took a lot. She was like, you have no idea what sacrifices were made to put you on that throne, son, starting with me getting railed by the fucking decaying king,
And I also think it's like Otto was in her ears. Her dad was in her ears so much about
absolutely.
That.
Yeah.
Like, do you want him to marry a 6-year-old Valerian girl? Or do
you but now in this episode with Rhaenyra, this is twice that she's told people, don't mistake my good nature, in different words,
for like weakness.
For weakness, yeah. Because she told the spy mistress, what's her name, Misseria. She told Misseria, just because
the white worm.
The white worm. Yeah, she was like, you're the only one that showed mercy, and she's like, I don't want you to confuse mercy with pliability. And now she tells her council, I don't remember exact words, but she told the council, I don't want you to mistake me trying to be a peacemaker with weakness, and I will go myself into this obvious trap.
She was gonna go
because her son was
gonna go. Remember her in season 1 when she was still little Millie Alcott. Millie Alcott. She went right down there and put.
Yeah, she's like, I'll do it myself. She's always been that way. But what was going on? Her son said, her surviving son, because remember before, with the way she lost her younger son, she sent 2 sons as peaceful messengers at the very, end of last season, and one of them got killed and didn't make it back. And now her other son, her surviving son, is like, no, mom, you stay here. I'll go. And she's like, the fuck you will. You hold down the fort. I'm going. And then her aunt pulls that on her. And her aunt is like, no.
That kid would have died immediately.
He would have, he would have been toast like that. She maybe could have stood a chance for a minute, but like, obviously the best thing to send your biggest gun. And she did. And like, it turned out horribly for their side. Like they just keep getting weaker and weaker, which when they eventually triumph, it's going to be that much more, that much more satisfying. Oh, speaking of the white worm, I don't know if I believe her. Yes, she saved Rhys, but was that for the queen or for, a place closer to the queen to spy?
Yeah.
She is. Remember how she was listening on the council?
Yeah, dude, she's in one scene in this episode, and it's her sneaking around listening to the council. That's all she's in. Yeah, no, she's totally up to something.
But she's rogue. She's a private contractor. She has no allegiance. She's completely contractual.
Well, remember, she already got like chewed up and spit out from Damon, so she knows the game.
Yeah, she knows. She's got that scar across her throat. I still don't know how she got the scar across her throat.
I don't trust her either. But I didn't even realize. I knew that actress from somewhere, and I think we even mentioned it when we were watching. Or when we were talking about it, but she's one of my favorite. She's an actress and a ballet dancer and like a martial artist who she's in all of like Alex Garland movies. So and shows, like she was the lead in Devs, which was a pretty cool show. And if you ever see a movie Annihilation, the scene where like Natalie Portman has like the alien mirroring her, and they're like that's her, and like that's her in the thing. And then like in Ex Machina, she's the one dancing with Oscar Isaac. So I've always been a fan of hers. So I was like, I know her. They just have her look so different,
If that actress is also a martial artist, is she going to have an action sequence at some point?
I don't know. She's also a good actress. I don't think she relies on that, but her ballet stuff is why they put her in Annihilation, because she had to do all that weird stuff.
Dance moves. Yeah, I think she's half Japanese or something. Her last name sounds Japanese. I don't know.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she is.
But but that character, that character is a survivalist. That character, she's like, she's lucky to be alive, and she knows it. She's just there to like see what chips she can get, because no one gave her shit, and she just got to take it, And so she's just there to survive and see if she can find out secrets and see what's going on, and somehow come out on top.
Yeah. Sometimes, Master Wayne, people just want to watch the word burn. Maybe that's what it is. So episode 4, it's a freaking masterpiece. It's
masterpiece.
Total masterpiece. This reminds me. You like it too, Lily? Wasn't that fun when the dragons?
Hey, big baby.
When the dragons fought, we've come such a long way, dude. If you watch a movie like Dragon Slayer, like I loved that movie as a kid, but like you can only show the dragon and certain things because it was all animatronic. It was just a big animatronic,
big puppets.
Dragon. You used to be able to see that at Universal Studios. They would bring the one that was actually from the movie up, and you could see it on like this little ride or whatever. But it's just amazing, like how. And as someone who wasn't a Game of Thrones person, I'm wondering how much better it looks now, but it probably still looked good then because it wasn't that long ago. But technology changes all the time.
Well, this is one of those shows where Littlefinger, exactly.
I don't know who Littlefinger is.
Littlefinger is one of these conniving sort of man of secrets who's manipulating people in the background, and he's one of the main characters. And he's just this manipulative guy that's always got the smile on his face, and he's like, "Hi, how can I serve you?" One of those guys. Yeah, they call him Littlefinger. He also he owned and operated brothels, which is
hopefully he found his end.
He got a little stabby in front of everyone, where he thinks he's going to get an award, and they're like, "I condemn you to die." He's like, "Wait, what?" And then someone just comes up, stabby.
So he just got one of those gut things.
Oh yeah. It was just one of those like real quick in front of everyone, and no one gave a fuck. And he's like, "What?" Like he tried to manipulate them, and they're like, "No, you're not going to manipulate us anymore." But anyway, she's a bit of a middle finger. She's a bit of a little finger, in that way. But this episode has been absolutely amazing. I had to rewatch it immediately. I wanted to talk about it right away. I'm like trying to find people to talk about how amazing it was. And it's just a stepping stone. It's only going to get better because like the thing about those dragon eggs that we saw, being born and produced in this first season where Damon gets those eggs, and those eggs were sent off by Rhaenyra to across the continent to Dorne, wherever. Those are the eggs that are eventually going to be found at the beginning of Game of Thrones, like season 1. We
talked about that last week. Yeah.
By the Targaryens, like they come down to this exiled house, and it's just like this brother sister that are the only ones left, but they get the eggs, And the thing is that they keep gently.
Okay.
What's going on?
You had some connection problems, but you're back.
Okay, good. But as the producers and everyone who's making the show, they're able to like advance the technology for showing these dragons. The scenes get bigger and bigger and more epic. And now they've achieved so much with I'm sure they probably have some props and animatronics. I know they've got the saddles. And they've built out parts of the dragons on set with the green screens, but then they've got so much CGI and they really have a good idea of how they move. These are large bats / lizards. They move the way a bat moves. Well, like when you see a bat walk on the ground, that's how these dragons walk. They actually have fingers, those big wings and arms with the fingers. And what bats will do, they have a couple of little claw fingers. And so they'll use that to grip and walk around awkwardly. But instead of having a little bat, which looks like a little fox or something, they're lizards, and they're each one a little different. So they've really figured out the mechanics, the body movement of these, fictional creatures. And so they're able to really put together very convincing, and also the sound, the vocalizations, they've got a lot more specific. Now they used to have the voices. I feel like they had a greater range of sounds, but now they really have like a dragon voice that they've perfected. And so they're able to now start grappling together and have these creatures interact with the sets as well as with the actors and the extras and stuff. And they're just getting so much better, and they're only going to continue. And this has already been filmed, right? So they have to have already improved their craft. And so what we're going to see in the next few episodes, in the next 2 seasons, it's going to get even bigger and better, because that's just the arc that their technique is going on. And I mean, it's looking amazing. And they're able to take all that animatronics and green screen and all that acting and put it together with the best writing you've ever seen. And that's why you care about these people, it's not just a battle for a battle.
No, it's not. And again, masking the fantasy with the reality of, like, I talk about this all the time, Spielberg school of, like, here's your CGI, here's your animatronics, here's your puppet, here's your cut, here's sort of like your backdrop. And I love how they mix them all together so well in the edit, so that it doesn't seem like a jumbled mess like the Transformers movies were, where you just like, okay, well, I get you're hiding the CGI, but I can't, my head's gonna explode. These are like beautiful scenes where you're like watching every single frame, something's happening in it. They always know how to use the frame and compose everything so well. But anyway,
and it's so good. And just one last little shout out I want to give to the story arcs and where we're going. You've got that scene where Rhaenyra tells the song Aegon's Dream of the song of Ice and Fire to her successor, her son. And now you've got that passing of the torch, because the only thing that ultimately gives this family and this queen legitimacy is that they know the secret of the end of the possible end of humanity on this continent, where the White Walkers eventually at the end of the original series, Game of Thrones, are going to bust through the wall and try to like kill everything and destroy all life all the way down to King's Landing. And they're the only ones who know it. That is really where they get their legitimacy to rule from, because, Rhaenyra, she says, listen, I tried as hard as I could to keep the peace. And now I understand that there will be war, and it's dragon war. I've now sent a dragon rider to fight another dragon, And that is the beginning of basically their version of a nuclear war. They're going to be firebombing entire cities from now on. And she understands what's going on. And she's like, it has to be more. It has to be for more than just a throne. And that's why I'm going to tell you about Aegon's dream, my son. This is the reason why we must be in charge, because we understand that one day we're all going to have to unite. And that's why we're trying to keep the peace. That's why we're trying to stay united, because when that long winter comes and the Night Walkers and the White Walkers come for us, it won't matter which house we're in. It won't matter, whose side you're on. We have to be united.
Or who has the crown or anything like
exactly.
that. Yeah.
So when she passes that secret on to her son, I think that's just one of those pivotal moments where it's not even about what does anyone else think about them, but it's like they have to be in charge in order for anyone to ultimately survive in a long-term way. And we saw that with her dad telling her the secret when she became his, and he tested her first, like he asked her about the dragons. Viserys asked Rhaenyra about, they say that we are the dragons and the dragons are us, but what do they really mean? What does the dragon mean? And anyway, so I just love seeing that scene, a little additional legitimacy, really seeing this mother-son like really bind and bond even stronger. And that's just, one of those great moments that you can easily skip over when you start talking about the battles. But it's just like, that's what makes the battle so much better, is that you're so invested in these characters because they're real people and you really feel their struggles, Anyway.
I agree. And I was so happy to see my least favorite character of the series become the absolute badass hero of this episode. So
Kristen Cole?
So long to Rainey's. No, Christian Cole. No, he's not my least favorite. No, Rainey's.
Rainey's. Yeah, the queen who never will be.
The queen who never will be, and she sure went out like a boss on this episode. And oh yeah, that's right. I was going to bring this up earlier, but Ashley says because they didn't change anything in the intro this week. I was looking, but I bet you they will next week for sure.
Yeah,
there'll be some dragon fight cloth going on, but I definitely looked and I didn't see any changes. But yeah, we'll close with this. Same here. I rewatched. Couldn't wait to talk to you guys about it all. Well, hey, we can't wait to talk to you about it too, man. It was so good. It was so fucking good. That's what I'm talking about. For me, I'm never bored with the slower episodes. I appreciate it. I appreciate the dialogue. I appreciate the characters, the intrigue, the double crosses here and there. But when you get an episode like this, and it was building towards something and it all makes sense and you get your payoffs, but then you don't get your payoffs. You get things, subversions of payoffs, because there's so much more to come. So if you're not a fan of this show, watch it and just power through it and get to this episode and you'll be like, wow, because it was a masterpiece of I'll call it cinema. It is cinema. And it was also directed again by his name escapes, Alan Moore or Alan something, but he's the guy that directed Thor: The Dark World, which wasn't a great story, but you can see where that kind of comes from. He's been directing a lot of these episodes this season. So yeah, great. Freaking great. Love it. Let's see. This is what Vagar did after he killed Rainey's dragon. And then he did. And then Aegon said,
"Just a flesh wound."
All right, we're gonna get out of here. Any last words?
I love the show and I can't wait to see more. Thanks for being here with us, guys. We drink your cinema.
We drink your cinema. Thank you so much.